Sometimes, the loudest answers come when the world goes completely quiet. James had always been a go-getter. From a young age, he was the kid who color-coded his notebooks, led group projects, and stayed up late watching TED Talks instead of cartoons. He was addicted to achievement, not because he craved power, but because he feared insignificance. Every gold star, every award, every pat on the back made him feel like he mattered. That mindset followed him into adulthood. After college, he landed a job at a fast-paced tech startup where the culture celebrated speed over depth. Hustle was everything. James threw himself into the grind, working 12-hour days, answering emails at midnight, skipping meals, missing birthdays, all in the name of success. On paper, he was thriving, promotions, praise, bonuses. But inside, he was stretched thin, like a rubber band pulled just before the snap. And no one knew, not even James. Sometimes it takes a single crack to reveal how fragile something has really become. The crack came in the form of a failed client pitch. A project James had led for months. Long nights, endless revisions, sleepless weekends. He believed in it. He believed in himself. But the client didn't. They walked away. The news hit him like a punch to the gut, and while his team reassured him, it happens, they weren't the right fit. His manager didn't say much, just a sigh and a look. The kind of look that speaks louder than disappointment. That says, "You should have done better." That evening, James walked home in a fog. The city buzzed around him. Horns, chatter, neon signs flashing. But it all blurred into static. When he stepped into his apartment, he didn't turn on the lights. He didn't eat. He didn't even take off his coat. He just sat. In silence. It was supposed to be temporary. Just a moment to catch his breath. But that moment stretched into hours, and then days. James didn't return to work the next day, or the day after. His phone rang, texts from colleagues, missed calls from friends, but he ignored them. He wasn't being dramatic. He just didn't have anything to say. For the first time in years, he was without a plan, without a response, without the mask he wore so well. And strangely, underneath the anxiety and guilt, there was relief. No more pretending, no more meetings, no more smiling through stress. At first, the silence felt like a vacuum. It pulled at him. Memories of failures, doubts, fears he had buried under constant motion. It was uncomfortable, ugly. But James didn't run from it. He let it linger. And slowly, it began to change. When the noise fades, what's left behind isn't emptiness, it's space. James started waking up with the sun, not an alarm. He went for walks with no destination, sat in parks, not to think, but to observe. He noticed things he hadn't in years, the way sunlight filtered through the trees, the sound of birds echoing between buildings, the texture of silence itself. He picked up a journal, something he hadn't done since college, and wrote. Not goals, not to-do lists. Just thoughts, feelings, fragments of honesty he never gave himself time to explore. At first, it was hard. The pen shook in his hand. The pages felt like strangers, but with each word, he peeled away layers he didn't know he had. Anger, fear, exhaustion, but also dreams, ideas, parts of himself he had long forgotten. In silence, James rediscovered the things that once made him feel alive. Not productivity, but creativity. Not deadlines, but depth. He remembered that he used to write stories, sketch designs, build things not for clients, but for curiosity. He reconnected with old passions, not to monetize them, but to feel them again. Sometimes to move forward, you have to stop running and listen. After 2 weeks, James went back to work. Same desk, same job, but something fundamental had shifted. He no longer rushed through meetings. He listened more, spoke less. But when he did speak, people leaned in. His words carried more weight because they came from stillness, not stress. He stopped saying yes to everything. Not because he was lazy, but because he had learned the value of his energy. He worked with intention. He created space in his schedule, room to breathe, to think, to live. He no longer feared silence. He welcomed it. That quiet became his anchor, a reminder that he was not defined by deadlines or praise or performance, that his worth wasn't in what he produced, but in who he was. In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. It's courage. It's healing. James now spends at least 1 hour a day unplugged. No screens, no input, just presence. Not because he's avoiding the world, but because he finally learned how to show up fully for it. He realized that true clarity doesn't come from the hustle or the hype or the noise of everyone else's opinions. It comes from within, from the quiet moments, from listening, from choosing to pause. Because when the world goes quiet, what matters most, you get the chance